What is up, Kaiju Seekers? Welcome to another Drawcast with me. Today we're just going to be doing some drawing, chatting, and the like. Maybe we'll have some people on later down the line, but for now, it's just going to be some chatting and drawing. Hopefully things go smoothly, although I will anticipate a few stream crashes. Because my internet is not always the best. Hopefully I'll be able to get some stuff set up in the future to help combat the internet setbacks. Hopefully you guys can hear me out okay too. Let me know down below if you're hearing me cut out at all. Right now I'm just doing some announcements and then we'll get started with the Drawcast. Today we're just going to be drawing some kaiju. Again, link comment down below if there's any kaiju you want me to draw, since we are doing some kaiju illustrations today. And hopefully we'll get things started just a bit. Again, do follow me on also at Vic's Monstrosities, where you can rest where I put most of my art too and stuff, all kaiju related stuff and such. And then there's also the Blue Sky, which is Vic Monstrosities as well, or Vic Monstrous. You can follow me there as well on Tumblr. And I do have a Kara, though I don't use that as much anymore. And then I do also have what else do I have? I do have a Reddit by the same name, should be. If you want to look at that, I mean, I just post on certain forums. Vic Monstrous, all the same. So let's see. Let me just get some music going. So we have something playing in the background. And then today we're just going to see what we can chat about. We did have a fun time last stream with the good of the last Drawcast, where I talked about my own personal paranormal supernatural encounters. Check all that out. Maybe I'll chat a little bit more about them today. If anyone has questions, feel free to leave them down below. But let's see here. So we can go with music, and then I will be presenting my screen. We. All right, so we got that going there. Hopefully there isn't too much lagging on your side either. So let's see here. What are we gonna start off with? Always go with the drawing guy. Another layer. So let's see here. So today, let's see. As of yet, my girlfriend and I went out to the recent Sailor Moon Super Live show the other day. It was really cool. I enjoyed it quite a bit. My girlfriend kept badgering me about going to see it because she's obsessed with Sailor Moon and stuff. So we ended up checking it out, and it was really fun. I will say it was really fun. It's a really good performance too. So if you're a fan of like live performances, especially those that are centered around like anime and such, if they ever do another tour, I think they were only doing it for the 22nd of March, but If you happen to live in any other places, I think they're still on. The whole show was like they all spoke in Japanese, with like the subtitles in the back, which was neat. But I've never experienced subtitles like that before, so it took some getting used to. So yeah, it was really fun. Got some merch there too. Real fun time. So as you know, I'm a huge fan of Godzilla 98, so we're gonna do a little bit of a drawing here for him. Godzilla 98 appreciation page, by that name, Godzilla 98 Appreciator, where I post all things Godzilla 98, whether it be artwork or movie facts, takes, stuff like that. Stuff you don't really see a lot of, because I am both friends and acquaintances with some of the people who have worked on that show. Or the show and the movie. And they're all really nice people. If you meet anyone who's worked on that movie, they're all like super nice people. Anyone knows me knows that Godzilla 98 was my first Godzilla. So I really did grow up with it. So I never really grew up with the hate around it. And I think I've said previously before, like I grew up knowing that Godzilla sort of looked different with every movie. So it made sense to me that this one looked the way it did. So I never had that whiplash of knowing Godzilla and then seeing this one. It was always sort of just like another Godzilla to me. And it still remained my favorite to this day. As the designers intended and Emmerich, it is like a modern reinterpretation of what Godzilla is. Because like Roland Emmerich said himself in interviews that that the idea behind his take was if he had come up with it in that moment, for that time, which is why it has that more modern dinosaur theropod posture. It's more fast and agile thanks to the advent of CGI technology. So yeah, whether you like it or not, it's also like a valid interpretation. Because like it does have the Zilla counterpart to it. but that is its own separate thing as opposed to the '98 character, and also the animated series character as well. They're both acknowledged as um, Godzillas in their own right because, um, as you've seen with recent releases with the '98 movie Monster Series figure, that version is always going to be Godzilla. Um, and like any newer versions of Godzilla are always of this design are always going to be under Zilla. Um, and from what I've talked about with people who are in the legal world, like it's even not so much the fact that like Toho couldn't um, reverse the decision. Sony is involved. Because like the reason that most American companies probably wouldn't touch Godzilla '98 merchandise is because for them to do so, Toho would have to work out something with Sony, since Sony still owns the distribution rights to the film, and so there's like a chance of like them being legally required to have some cut of profits from any merchandise of it that's sold in America. So essentially, Toho, for the most part, doesn't really want to do that. And since Zilla is its own creation by Toho, reusing it for a different monster, which is what they did for Final Wars for Godzilla, which is why they were able to use that and why it's in it's like on paper it can be its own thing. In writing, or I don't know what phrase to use, but like essentially it's both its own thing and also just another version of the character of the '98 Godzilla. Which is why Toho can use Zilla without like Sony butting in, because it's essentially their own creation. Which is also why I never thought it was valid to call the '98 or the series character Zilla, because Zilla would only refer to anything that really comes after it that is branded as that character. And like even like Toho has said in previous statements and also statements by people who have worked with Toho that the film character and the cartoon are always going to be Godzilla, whereas Zilla is something else. And the reason Japan companies can use Godzilla '98 in the license for it is that, like, since Japan in Japan, I think it's just Japan though, since it is since it's specifically Japanese companies that have the best chance at using the license. Because it's a matter of like Sony's involvement with whatever the like the profits. It's all about the profits because Toho wants the most profits from anything related to Godzilla stuff. And when it comes to 98 in Japan, they're going to get the most profits because they have the distribution rates for Japan. So any company in Japan is just going to have to go through Toho, whereas an American company with because part of the original legal document with the 1993 legal document is that like whatever profits made from the film, depending on the territory, is like a 50-50 split in a sense. I forget the exact percentage, but there was a split between profits. I'm just not sure if that would continue after the film and the license expirations, but I don't know, something about the deal. You can find the legal document on, I think, like WikiLeaks or something. But if you look into it, you can definitely find it. And like I've even talked to Matt Frank about it sometimes, that like if Toho has to put the work in for it, they usually won't like look into stuff like that, since they just want to work with whatever they for sure can. It happens. But hopefully we'll get things back up and running soon. I just got present again. And bada bing, bada boom. We will have power. So yeah. Like I was saying, like it's all a matter of Toho wanting to put in the work. But honestly, the recent release for the movie Monster Series figure, it looked to be a pretty good release, from what I know, because a lot of people were buying that figure, as well as because I even saw people buying doubles, because there's people who want to do repaints, and then there's people who do like see here. Might do some messing around with top of his head, since remember, but it's important to use reference. One thing I always appreciated about the 98 design was all the intricate detail that went into designing everything, because like all the scales and all of it like just makes sense and has like a reason to it. It's like all if you look at like reptiles and all that, like every part of Godzilla is just based on reptiles. You have like scoots from like different like types of reptiles, like different lizards, crocodilians, stuff like that. They're all just combined into this awesome chimera of a beast, and I think that's a really cool direction for Godzilla's to go in, because I also love the MonsterVerse design, which does a lot of that same thing, and there's a lot of similarities between this Godzilla and the MonsterVerse one, because even if they wanted to stray away from the 98 design, there's a lot of similarities that still ended up happening just because of the way they went about it. So you'll find things like similar coincidentally, the evolved Godzilla has a lot of spikes that are similar in shape to a lot of the ones from 98. There's something about this upward part of the head. I don't know what's bothering me about it. Faulted the movie monster series is that it got one detail wrong about the neck, and that there's a specific shape it takes where there's like a very noticeable like point at which it, like, it's very angular in that way. It's kind of like that. Yeah, so there's like a lot of space to where like the top of the neck goes. That I think a lot of people miss, and even when it comes to like sculptures and art renditions, because like I said, one of my pet peeves about like some that they have the skill and to draw and write, but they choose not to for some reason. Like when you draw him right, it's a really cool Godzilla, which hopefully I can help illustrate here. So a lot of detail that goes into drawing Godzilla 98, which is both cool but a pain to get all the time. So just gotta have a lot of stuff to draw. But you can always simplify it. To just the basic shapes, which is important with art, with any style as well, since it's all just about how you simplify shapes and life. This is the first drawing of the stream as well, so like I said, leave down below any suggestions for any other kaiju that we'll be working on today. And then once I'm through, I will drop it down below. Drop down below any suggestions you have for kaiju, even like dinosaurs, creatures, things like that. And I'm doing most of this with like little reference to some no reference, because I've gotten the basic shape of 98 down to my physical memory, though having references always help. Like with the head, I had to look back at some references, because I like to keep things as accurate as possible while doing my own style to keep it simple. And I don't know, I just would. And especially since I want these drawings to essentially work for animation. It helps to keep things on the simpler side, so that way it's easy for people to like redraw things over and over again. Because it's the same thing with comics too. You want to do like designs that you'll be happy drawing over and over again. So that's the way I go about designing and growing my art style. And I want to work on making these live streams more frequent, not just here and there. Hopefully, getting like a set schedule in would keep me from like procrastinating anything, because I really want to like jumpstart outside of any novelty stuff that I want to do, like interviews and other figure reviews, features. Because if anyone watched my Godzilla 98 flashlight feature, I did. It was basically, I had this cool item that I wanted to show off, and I don't know. I was hoping it would do better than it did. Not that I don't think it did bad for what it was, but hopefully I can just do more of that. Because there's a lot of interesting stuff when it comes to not even just 98 products, but Godzilla products and Kaiju products in general. From figures to different accessories, to things like, there's a Godzilla 98 flashlight there. I might already know that. So knowing what you guys think about it, I think is really fun. So hopefully I can do more of that and people will take a shine to it. Because like MIB is probably my biggest inspiration for that. Shinra Jiro 2, which coincidentally Shinra Jiro posted about the flashlight like out of the blue, which was like pretty coincidental. And he happened to have seen my video, which would be nice. Thank you. But yeah. Because I've always been a fan of this design. Despite what most people will say. To be a fan of this Godzilla, you have to have thick skin as well, because people will rag on you for it. Like outside of just discussions about the film, the character, and stuff, which is always fun to have, even if you disagree. Like with Zim, I love talking to him about Godzilla 98. Even if we disagree on things about the character or the movie and such. I love talking to him about it just because it's fun to talk to people about stuff. Sometimes more when you disagree or have different views, which is what I love about if they're ever lucky enough to stop by. Like, it's just super fun to talk about stuff. And doing it online has its own unique, what up, Zim? Welcome to the Drawcast. Because everyone knows this is your favorite character. But yeah, like I was If anyone's still here, I hope people still hear me. Because I don't. Sometimes either just the program will crash, or the whole thing will crash. So I never really know if I go silent, because there's always a delay. Like first my program will crash, and then seconds later the stream will crash, or at least like my tab, which is when it just goes silent. Which I know I need to get either I can one other person in my household. Like I guess the internet just isn't that great, and it's a relatively newer internet that my family signed up with, because we went from like having just a regular one that we had for the longest time to just having, we had another one that we tried out for a little bit, and then we went on to this one, which even on things like when I play Fortnite or any other game like that's online, I always have trouble with it. Like my games crash. So it's not just limited to things like the stream. It happens with my games and stuff. So, like until I get something like an Ethernet cable and or not too much for you guys and you're enjoying the stream, hopefully we'll get things back up. Yeah. There we go. So hopefully things get back up. Here we go. I anticipate another crash though. So if I go silent, that's the reason. But yeah. Let's see. Yeah, before the crash and everything, like I said, always fun doing the streams with people. Even if sometimes I tend to be a little quiet, mostly just because I'm also the introverted type. So even in person, like I'm usually the quiet one. And like I'll have brief moments where yeah, mostly just because I like when I'm really comfortable with a group of people, like parts of me will come into the light. Yeah, so there we have a sketch. We might be ready to go on to the next phase. And I'm going at about the pace I normally would for like any regular drawing, since I've gotten used to streamlining certain processes in art. I know, Zim, if you're still in the chat, I know it takes a while, as you said before when I've had you on, for you to complete certain pieces. Because I am always excited whenever I see one of your pieces through the Discord and whatnot. And like in some cases, you can tell how much you've progressed whenever you look back at certain pieces you do. Because sometimes I'll have a work in progress where it'll take me it'll be like a month or so. I'll go back to it and like I'll see like problems in it, or I'll see things I used to do that I don't do anymore. So I'll have to rework things to the skill level I'm at now. Because, like, there's one other. Yeah. Either I'll have, like, a really cool idea that I'll just have, and I will. It's either I'll have a cool idea or concept that I really want to realize, and I'll just do it like in less than an hour, or it'll be something that I have at the back of my mind that I'll start drawing, and then I'll expend all my energy on that drawing. Like I'll go from like a rough sketch to a detailed sketch, and then step away for like a few minutes or so, return, and or I'll just take a day or so. I'll sit on it and then come back to it. Other times, I'm really bad at this because it keeps me up and ruins my sleep schedule. There are some cases where I cannot go to sleep. But I gotta get to sleep because I procrastinate on even the drawings that I'm really into. So yeah, like, and like that's part of like my like ADHD thing, where like I have something on my mind and I can't get it out of my head, so I just have to like buckle up and complete it, even if it costs me like my sleep schedule. And I'll just have like bursts of energy where I just gotta sit down and do something, and then I have to recharge again, and then come back to it. And like I said before, I want to start doing more of the streams like this. Income, and from what I've like just watched from research and other videos and stuff, gathering an audience is gonna help me. Will probably be the best thing to do to help grow my art. So hopefully I can do that with this. And then Zim, I know you've done commissions and stuff, which I might want to have you on for in the future to discuss that, since we've both have experience with commissions and such. Like I have a few regulars who commission me often. They're great people, and I'm grateful to them for it. So I wonder if you have any experience with that. Let me know if you have time, if you want to come on like now, or later down the line if I'm still on and you have free time. It's really nice to have like people who come to me and give me work to do. And like even like one-off commissions, like people will have like the coolest ideas for stuff to do, and even like the weirdest things, because like you'll see ideas that you'd never think, like you think people would never think of. Like one was of Sarazawa and I forget the name, but like Android 21 from Dragon Ball. And I'm like, I would never have imagined that combination, but also the way the way they like asked for it, or like the specifics of the commission. It was just like it made sense as well. And like after the fact, I was like, so like opening myself up to commissions was like a really cool thing to see just how creative some people can be. Um, and it's like that's what I love about like the art community and like this aspect of being an artist when you do freelance work like that. Um, yeah, just the opportunity and the creativity you see from people. That's always really nice to see. Um, and like when you see something really creative, it just opens my mind to like all sorts of possibilities. Because like I like to think of myself as a pretty creative person, but then when I see someone else who's like has like this like no brainer of an idea or a concept, and it's like yeah, like I wouldn't have like seeing it happen is just like a real I don't know, like a wake up call or something. That like you can get pretty creative with some things, and like it's all about the execution and like how you do it. Like I think one example is like I know the movie is like very maligned, I guess, but um like Wonder Woman 84, like because beforehand with how like Zack Snyder's universe was set up and stuff, like I thought you'll never see the Invisible Jet make an appearance. And at most, like I thought, like oh, it's probably gonna be like Batman develops like this cloaking tech, and Wonder Woman like borrows it, and it becomes like the Invisible Jet. Um, and then in the movie, oh no, it's just a magic spell that turns a jet invisible. I'm like, huh, interesting. And I don't know, it just opened my eyes. Like you can get away with a lot of creative things if you just like find creative ways to execute them. Because I thought like, oh wow, like I would have probably either never thought of it or been too hesitant to like execute it. And so, yeah, like I said, hopefully setting a schedule will keep me doing these types of things, and also different segments as well. It's been, because I don't know, if you guys want to see me do more of that stuff, like all the support would really help. Because again, I do have a Ko-fi page, a VGen page where you can both of those you can see my commissions and stuff. But I do also from like $1 and up to where you can sign up for monthly memberships, and you get special rewards for each membership, like shout outs in all the streams, where you're like I don't know what, like your name tag will be featured as a thank you, or there's also the you get direct access to the Drawcast, to where you can have like your own personalized art featured on it, and or like just the access to the Discord as well. You can do like direct suggestions for things on the Drawcast. So like the different kaiju you can suggest, or characters and such. Um, You'll get like more exclusive access to stuff like that, where you can drop suggestions and stuff. If you want to see the process live for it, probably will have to experiment with how that goes, just because I don't know, because it is commission art, so it's up to you as well. Like you can either go through with it or not, but that's an option that I want to do, since it might be cool to have that interaction. That way you can see the live process of it, much like this. I know there's that whole thing with like revisions and stuff I have to deal with, but Probably for things like the rendering process or stuff like that. But also, again, like you can do direct suggestions, which I'll always do my best to keep track of and make sure I fill those. But they don't have direct priority. Like it's just direct suggestions you can do to me. Yeah, so like just direct suggestions, and you'll see me draw them live if you enjoy my process and such. Because like I said, I want to develop a community. Um, Around my art because I think that would be pretty cool and help grow my business. Because if you like what you're seeing and you enjoy my chats, and you want to be a part of this little bubble, I'd be more than happy to welcome you guys. If you're cool and just want to talk, for a good while now, especially since like mid to post COVID, when I really got back into art, and thanks to like meeting my girlfriend as well, who helped inspire me to get back into it. Because there's a while where I was just like in this null state, to where I wasn't doing art as much. Like most of the concepts I had for storytelling was like commission work I did. I commissioned from other artists, which I am grateful to those guys, and those people who I commissioned. I recently got back into commissioning artists. I commissioned an artist to do a semi-realistic rendition of Pocho, which was my original kaiju that I did. I designed and developed, and I wanted to do I wanted to see like a live action version of that character would look like. And I think she pulled it off. I would recommend. I think their commissions are still open, so if you want to see, if you want to commission them, I recommend checking them out. So they are really cool and very communicative as well. It was a fun experience. Yeah, she's really cool. Let's see here. Any crashes through any crash outs. Crash outs. Woohoo! Stay tuned. Because I never know if the streams crashed itself or just the program. Like I said. Oh Lord. No. What happened? I hope the whole thing didn't crash on me. There you go. Like I said, with the whole finicky internet thing, like, hopefully I'll get a better setup soon enough. But thank you for sticking by me, anyone who's still in. I appreciate you sticking through it to the end. We're going on a little bit, about to hit an hour for the stream. But streams usually last about an hour or so. To finishing this up. Unless you have any suggestions, because, like I said, any suggestions I'll try my best to fulfill. As much as I said I love the detail of the 1998 Godzilla, it is a pain to get everything right. So like I said, I hate that people choose to not draw this guy accurately. It's not even just a matter of style, but like deliberately not choosing to draw him in like a decent way. Because like when like it's generally a great design. Like sure you can have your opinions on it, which are valid, but in the end it's just a matter of taste, and like no one's taste should override anyone else's enjoyment or distaste, because it goes both ways. Don't rag on people for not liking something, and don't rag on people for liking something. Let people enjoy things, let people dislike things. Well, it's just a matter of what we want to enjoy. Oh, I do like this drawing, looking at it. I did like this drawing. I haven't drawn 98 in a while, admittedly. Admittedly, I have not drawn him in a while. At least in full. This part of me felt like I was drawing him too much, so I wanted to diversify some stuff. But also, like I think my last big piece was like drawing him for the anniversary piece that I did that featured other Godzillas, and then I actually got the chance to do a commission for the Skrionk podcast, which is really cool. I'm glad they gave me the opportunity to do that. Yeah. So there we have Godzilla 98. It's just a nice simple drawing of him. Yeah. And like looking at it, it's such a cool design, man. Like, how could you hate it? Like, hating the design? Really? You're gonna hate on this design when it looks so cool. And like, I don't know, like for me, even if it's just the way I grew up with it, like it just screams Godzilla to me. Like, has that much of a vibe to it. Like, I can't imagine calling this thing anything else other than Godzilla. Like, you can say it's unfaithful, which, you know, you can have your arguments. I'll disagree with them. But it's just a cool interpretation of the monster, because like as much as Emmerich may have wanted to deviate from it, there's still a lot about it that, like, I think mostly due in part to Patrick Tatopoulos, who designed this creature. Like, a lot of that Godzilla essence still remains the same. And at the time, from what Toho saw of it, they did say that it did keep the spirit of Godzilla. And I think the best example of that is with Junior from the series. Like, he truly keeps his even if I think that the best version of him is from the series. I think that's the best of this incarnation, but my favorite is always the 98 character. Hi, Minecraft world, welcome to the stream. Thank you for stopping by. I'm just doing a Drawcast, drawing Godzilla 98, my favorite Godzilla, as many know. I did see that you got the new Mothra comic. Hopefully I'll be able to pick that up soon.
Pretty sure it was in order for
something like that. I'll probably end up just picking it up, like if I procrastinate that long into getting it, or if I don't encounter it myself at a comic book shop or something. I'll probably get it if Matt Frank is selling them at I think he's going to some conventions that are local to me in a few months. So I might. That's what I ended up doing with his Space Godzilla comic. Yeah, I did always want to draw a piece of Bocho with Godzilla 98. Since I know there was a trend of people drawing their fan gojis with the artist's favorite Godzilla, like signing an autograph or something. So I might do something like that. because Pocha is obviously like a 98 inspired character, with his own flares that I've added over the years, but it's mostly just down to the type of kaiju he is. Since 98 is sort of in a league of his own when it comes to kaiju depictions, there's not many kaiju that are like Godzilla 98. Like Zetus from Gamera the Brave is like one of the only kaiju that have a similar stance to Godzilla. And if you look at the suit for 98, which they did have a suit for Godzilla 98, as many may not know, I've also interviewed Kurt Carley, the suit actor for Godzilla 98, which you can find on my channel. Please forgive the feedback loop on that video from me. But yeah, Kurt Carley was a suit actor, and if you look at the images we have of the suit and the way yeah, kaiju like those are like, see, this is one of my favorite kaiju as well. Like in the roster of kaiju, and you don't see many like him, because most kaiju designs, if they're going for that Godzilla body type, they'll go for, you know, the typical vertical stance that Godzilla is known for. Most Godzillas have that same stance. Outside of things like the Godzillasaurus, either from -1 most recently, and like I know there's a huge debacle on whether or not that even counts as a Godzillasaurus, but I would say it counts. You can call that thing Godzillasaurus, since it's essentially even described in the movie as like a dinosaur type creature. And like I know there's interviews with Yamazaki Godzillasaurus is a bad thing or inherently inaccurate. Comment down below. Do you call the Odo Island Godzilla Godzillasaurus, or do you think that's a valid name to call it? You know, like it's almost like it's the new Godzilla or Zilla debate. You know, what do you call it? But yeah, like and like whenever I design like my own kaiju, like there's a few kaiju that stand more vertically. But I mostly do, whenever I do like the theropod type dinosaur, I'll do things where they have a similar stance to Pocho. Like Wrecking Bull that I did on one stream, Sickleback. I have a few others that I'm working on as well. But yeah, like that whole like genre. And since Godzilla 98 is my favorite Godzilla, I want to see more kaiju like him. And if no one else is gonna do it, I will. And I think it just makes for more unique kaiju. Like part of me always wants to design the kaiju that will have mass appeal, because I don't want to have like fodder monsters, you know, like as much as people love them for the meme, like the giant condor, you know, like I want kaiju that people will love. Like I want all my kaiju to be beloved kaiju in my kaiju verse, if you will, because like I just want to have like mass appeal. Like I don't want to have a character featured in like a toy line that people will not want to buy. I want them all to look cool, flashy, unique. Everything looks so cool. Yeah, that's the kind of like universe I want to build. And yeah, referring back to the comic, the new Matt Frank and I forget the other writer. But yeah, the new Mothra comic I might, if I see it in a while, I'll probably pick it up, and or if I ever meet Matt Frank, I'll probably buy it from him at the booth. Since last time I met him, I did buy the Space Godzilla comic he did for Godzilla Rivals, which was a pretty neat comic, very cool. But yeah, that's how I got my copy. Also, it was convenient because I got to get it signed right after. And Matt Frank, I see him as a good acquaintance because we've met each other several times. He saved my life. And yeah, like I recommend if you ever see him at a local convention, like say hi because he's a really cool dude. Oh yeah. Details. Uh-oh. So I think I'm still on. Hopefully I'll just do a process of just I might just complete the line art because like I said, when it comes to things like this, I either do it all in one go or I take some time in between just on how my energy is doing. And then I might finish it off screen. Like drawings like this, I usually, like for 98 pieces, I usually just exclusively post it on my 98 page. And I appreciate the audience I have there, since like it doesn't take much to get a hit tweet. I forget the exact words they use, but like being desperate for likes whenever it comes to any 98 stuff. But like there are lots of fans of 98, and they're all diverse. Some are crazy, but like the fans of 98 are like some of the most unique people you'll see. You'll attract all sorts of diverse views when it comes to 98. Like you have people who love 98, but they'll call him Zilla, which you're more than welcome to. I guess just know that I despise that, but I'll never despise the person who does it. It's like I said, like I always advocate, like never harass or see anyone as lesser for opinions of fictional characters, unless they're absolutely deranged. Because it's basically Hitler, like. Because like I'm not on board with the if you like villain characters you're a bad person, but like if you like side with what they do and you like them for what they do, like then that's weird, buddy. Like no ifs, ands, buts about it. Like if you're into the stuff they do specifically for that, then then yeah, that's a weird one on you. I probably wouldn't want you around me, because like the whole thing with the has been Hotel and Valentino, like the whole thing with that, like I think Valentino is a really cool character. In that I think the my favorite villain by any means. But I think the way he's written is lends itself well to the villain archetype. Um, like you love to see him do his. How should I word it? Like it's in. You don't love to see him do his thing, but you love to see the characters overcome his actions. Like he's written in a way to where when you see Angel Dust stand up to him, like when you see Angel Dust stand up to him, it like really endears you to the character of Angel Dust and the development he's gone through. Because of how well Valentino plays off him as the villain and how you see his actions and and how he has that charismatic side to him that like is what draws his victims in, and then you see Angel Dust stand up to him and resist that, and that's why people are so enthralled with Valentino's characters, not because of what he does, but of how characters react and grow to his actions. I think that's why people are attracted to villains in a way, because of how the heroes react. And like it's all about the personality too, because like depending on how the personality is depicted, it'll make sense the outcome of like how people react. Because like Val is a very charismatic person. He has a charm to him, which is what draws and people like Ted Bundy and the Midnight Stalker had their fans because there's this charm to them that certain people are infatuated with, and it goes both ways too. When it comes to female or women criminals, they'll have men slobbering all over them, saying they would or they would free them and stuff. So it goes both ways, to where you'll have like female villains, male villains. They'll have their fan bases and stuff. Partly because like if the people are conventionally attractive, and of course they'll have that aspect to them. But realistically, it's like there's that whole I can fix some crowd and stuff. The people who are into like the crazy obsessed one. Mostly because I'm also on the side of I am really dig when someone is attracted to me. Because I'm also the type of people who like I like when someone is enthusiastic, to say the least, when they're around me and that they're into me that way. Like that's a good feeling, and like just to imagine someone who is infatuated with you to that degree. Like there's this one manga I read about a stalker character, and the stalkee is into it because he's basically in the state of depression to where nothing thrills him. But then there's this girl who's a stalker, yandere type. outgrowing their personalities and falling in love with their new personalities and stuff. It's a really good manga. I forget the name, but like I don't know, just like a stalker manga. You'll probably find it. But yeah, so yeah, back to the whole villain thing. Like I think that's like there's aspects to that to where depending on how you write the personality of the villain is like the outcome. You'll have that outcome on how people depict them, because you can depict them as absolutely despicable with no charm at all, and like no one will see them as a type of character like Val, because there's no charm there, and charm is hard to write. But if you write it well, like I think they did with Valentino, it makes sense as to why there's a fan base for him. Also a form of escapism, and like I don't know, like I think it matters also how people who have been victimized by people like that feel about it too. Like you should never hold it against them for how they feel or how they cope and or how they see it, because like their opinions are all valid. So like it's just a matter of listening people out and like setting up your own boundaries for it too, I think. I think it's also all about boundaries and what you want to accept and see put out there, because like no one should be subjected to things they're uncomfortable with in certain communities, and I think people should be responsible for what they allow themselves to be exposed to, and people should what people are willing to accept, because you shouldn't force things upon people, force opinions, and this goes for anything in fandoms. Like you should never force opinions onto others or harass people for opinions on fictional media. And like you can have opinions and discussions about moralities, ethics of things, but because like I said, if you like things a certain way, like if you like a character for their actions specifically and not the writing around it, then I think that's weird. Like if you're a fan of Darth Vader because he killed people because of his ethics, depending on what arc of Vader you're into, like yeah, I think that's a little weird. Oh, you like that he killed all those people? Yeah, I don't think that's the point Lucas was going for. You're not supposed to like that. That reason? Like, that's weird, I think. So, yeah, like I said, you leave your thoughts about it. Like, what do you think about people liking villain characters? It can even be specifically about the Valentino thing from Has-Been Hotel. Because like I said before, I think what people like about it is how other characters react to him. And there's also the whole thing about like, oh, his specific charm and personality. Because like when you see Angel Dust stand up to Val, you like you root for Angel Dust. You think you appreciate the growth he went through, and that's all due in part to how Val was written and what you know of the character, because you know you anticipate you look forward to seeing how satisfied with the reaction and how they executed all of that, and it's all due in part to how they characterize Val, how they characterize Angel Dust, and how they show the growth of the characters, how they show just the reactions and all that. I think that's why there's a fan base for Val, because of how he affects the characters and how he goes about his actions. Because you can write villains with charm, you can write them with personalities too. and people can latch on to personalities and enjoy them for how they interact with the world around them and how the characters grow from their actions. I think that's due in part to why people are attracted to villain characters, outside of the obvious escapism of it, because like every person alive has this like darker side to them, and that's not like in the CD. You know, like like you're into the edgy jokes, you're into the edgy, like you're into the edginess of like either true crime or like commentary channels or dark storytelling, black comedy, stuff like that. Everyone has that side to them, and that in part is also sided with like the villainy aspect of characters in fiction. Because I love villains like Scar, like let's see, Drax from Osmosis Jones. I like Scar King from Godzilla Kong the Empire. I think he's a cool villain. And it's not because I like the actions to take. It's like I like how they're written. I like how the characters grow from them. I like how to just watch an action and watch how the characters react to them, because like they'll just captivate a scene. Sure, Zim. Sure, you can say you slop, but I think Scar King is still a pretty cool villain. He has a swagger to him. Like I think he has one of the best. He has a better entrance than King Ghidorah. He has a better. I think he might have a better presence than him too. Is he underdeveloped? Sure. Could it more have been done with him? Sure. But I think for what they had, it was good. And I think that's true of most of New Empire. A guy like that's when it comes to my taste is that I like things for what they are, not what they could have been, should have been, or would have been. Because when it comes to stuff like that, like you can only judge. I think you can only judge things for what they are. Maybe, because like I really like I like Ghidorah's first fight with Godzilla. I think it's cool. I think Scar King's fight with Kong is better, because I think there's that. Because I know people say this a lot, but I don't like when in King of the Monsters they keep cutting away from the action, because okay, that's a whole different thing when it comes to the soundtrack. Old Rivals is a really good song or a track. I like it a lot. I still kind of think GXK had some better themes, or at least themes that I like more than like Old Rivals on its own. I think, honestly, hot take, I think people like King of the Monsters track more because it's just louder. Like, it's just louder music. Like, King of the Monsters soundtrack is just loud. Like, and its loudness is overhyped. There are tracks I like more from GXK and GVK too. Like, I do I think they're as good? I think that on their own, but I can pick and choose themes that I like more. Like, I think the Wingard films, for as much as they have music that I like, no, they're not reserved. The whole thing about King of the Monsters soundtrack is that they're just loud. Sure. Yeah, sure. I think I would agree that for certain themes, especially when it comes to the Titans, yeah, the Titan themes are the most bombastic, but sure, yes and no. But again, like what themes aren't the Titan themes? But I mean, when you hear people talking about King of the Monsters, when you hear people talk about King of the Monsters, do they talk more about the reservedness, or do they overhype the Godzilla theme, the Rodan theme, the Mothra theme? Like, everyone talks about the everyone talks about the Titan themes because that's what everyone. And in case anyone wants to hop in, if you guys want to hop in to talk further about this, I'd love to if you have the time, and or if you want to keep listening. Because like Mega, and I think it's called Mega, and then the whole Hong Kong battle track. I think those are really good. They're really good tracks that I do like a little better than like most. Can you hear me, boss?
Shalom, shalom.
Hello there.
As well as I'm re-listening to the Codem soundtrack, I just realized that Mass Awakening is essentially Scar King's theme, but better.
Oh, what did you say?
Yeah, like the same kind of set of drum beats. They're a little slower for Scar King versus the Mass Awakening, but it's carried way more in Mass Awakening compared to Scar King, or excuse me, the Slop King, who appeared in the Hits movie from the 2020s, Godzilla X Kong, the new Slop.
Well, of course, because as you know, King of the Monsters bombed in theaters horribly.
You know what else bombed at the box office? The Thing. You know what's remembered super fondly? The Thing. I rest my case.
Yeah, well, this ain't about The Thing.
Exactly. It's about box office. It's about box office, and although Cotton got at the box office, everyone remembers. Everyone remembers. They'd be like, "Oh, dang, kind of hit hard." All right, we stand on business. We stand on business here.
Well, but yeah, I think, like I was saying, like, actually, Scar King's theme, I really love Scar King's whole entrance and stuff. Like, it's just so well done. I think it's overall well done. It's a well done entrance.
I just realized. Actually, I'm just curious about this. In the case of the Slop King, actually not Slop King just yet. When it comes to Ghidorah, do you think Ghidorah's entrance was referencing anything?
outside of like, I know like the whole outpost and such is like a reference to the Thing.
Yeah, but no, that's
yeah.
not what I'm about to get on. Because what I was gonna get on, yeah, because I don't think you can think of it because it wasn't referencing something. Whereas I believe Scar King's reference, like his whole swagger up thing, was I think like a reference to like how you see Kid Buu swagger up in Dragon Ball. Like I think it's either Kid Buu or Super Buu, but I think it wasn't supposed to be a DBZ reference. Like how for some reason Godzilla Evolved is supposed to be a Kaioken reference, which makes no sense.
Well,
as a resident Dragon Ball person, the comparison of one of my favorite abilities to Godzilla Evolved, it's disrespectful. You come to me today on the day of my daughter's wedding, and you call that a reference to Kaioken.
Well, I'd say it's a partial reference because I think it was more so a reference of aesthetically how it goes from one color to the other, that whole pinkish red vibe.
I guess, but then in that case, I'm like, because Kaioken isn't really pink. It's definitely Kaioken's red. I should say, like, if color-wise, it's probably closer to like, Burning's probably closer to Kaioken in color, compared to Evolved. Because if anything, Evolved's closer to like Super Saiyan than Kaioken.
I guess, actually, but Kaioken, it still leans more towards that like light.
Maybe like its motion, because okay. There we go. Let me shimmy dimmy.
Alright, adding to stage now.
Because like that's maybe kind of closer to how Kaioken looks. That's also probably a little closer, but I think that's color corrected. Yeah, it even says different colors, so there you go. That's also different. Oh wait, I think there we go. Because like there's that color, and then you have this, which I would say like this color is closer to like the cherry blossoms right there. Because let's even look at Burning Godzilla. That's obviously a fake, but like that's closer-ish.
Maybe.
Where that too is closer. Obviously, that's like him as like that's like the lightest form of the Kaioken as you see it. I want to find an older, really older thing. Even in that's more orange than that, which is like just straight up pink. Actually,
I would agree. The edit we saw is like closest to what
this is the closest that Godzilla Evolved is to any Dragon Ball transformation. I would say, no cap, because the like genetic manipulation that they used to bring back Broly and him not really having full control, like them not having full control over that, is what caused Bio Broly to become a thing. So if anything, if we are being hyper charitable and we're going to say Godzilla Evolved is a reference to Dragon Ball, then yes, Godzilla Evolved in execution and theming is closer to Bio Broly than Kaioken. And look, he's even kind of pink too, right there. So, yes, siblings separated at birth.
Yeah, I guess so. The one probable other thing would be like the aura around Godzilla Evolved is probably another reference. Because I think this is the most we see of that aura forming around them.
Yeah, I mean, like, even if we were to use his aura too, like the aura is more like essence and wavy for Godzilla Evolved, whereas Kaioken is super jagged, and as a result, like that's what gives it that kind of intensity. Not to mention the fact that also like Kaioken you can turn off, whereas Evolved is something that he has to like stay within. That's like essentially his new base form. And another reason why I think it's closer to Mastered Super Saiyan is because like Mastered Super Saiyan, Goku had to, or when they're training Goku through mastering Super Saiyan, was able to just stay in it as he pleased.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
Unless I just realized now I hear more people do that ta-ta-ta-ta. I sometimes do that on my streams, and I hear like other people saying, I'm like, oh, huh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The ta-ta-ta-ta has increased, it has spread. Master of the does. Ta-ta-tas.
I suppose so.
But I also was kind of dipping in and out, so I had not been listening to like everything that occurred. But I heard something about like opinions and stuff. I'm not sure if you want to revisit that.
Well, let's see. Outside of when you came back and we started talking about, like I know we were talking about the music for stuff. Oh, I think the only thing beforehand I was talking about, rambling on about, I guess, is just when the overall topic of liking or enjoying villain characters.
Oh, yeah, those are always fun conversations, especially when people like. Yeah, people read way too much into people liking villain characters. I think in most cases, if you like a villain character, it's because you like them in the story. It usually has very little to do with people like actually liking what that person has to say. And I think the most people who like read into that and be like, oh, you like this villain? That must say something about you as a person, is a very slippery slope to make. And most people just want to go over that line because they want to feel morally superior, as it were, to other people. So
yeah, and that's something I agree with too, because like I think even like, because like for me the most recent thing I saw about that is, I don't know if you know anything about Has-Been Hotel, but there's the character of Valentino.
I think that's I know that's like the pimp one.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And like,
I'm like very unfamiliar with the series. That's like one of those things where like if people want to know about like where I stand on certain pieces of media, I have essentially no interest in Has-Been Hotel as a series. So as a result, I don't really talk too much about it. Plus, I think that in certain cases, it just attracts a weird set of individuals. And I think a lot of those weird individuals are usually the kinds of people who tone police a lot when it comes to liking characters like Valentino. And I think it's because the fact is that like the show wants to be like a safe space to talk about certain topics, but then as a result doesn't actually want to like have them discussed in actuality, and instead wants, or at least the fan base has it be that those characters who represent those terrible things are just punching bags for the audience catharsis. And as a result, if you actually kind of like the character, it causes this weird knee-jerk reaction to be like, well, you like the character, I guess that means that you morally agree with everything that they did, because everyone's hyper vigilant to everyone's quote-unquote morals when it comes to like engagement with that fandom. So I'm just like, no, I'm good. Y'all can have that show. Yeah,
and like I also like, because when I was engaging with stuff like that on that side of like Twitter and such, like one thing I always brought up is like,
you dipped out there for a second, so you'll probably have to restate your points. But that was your first mistake, was going to Twitter.
Yeah, but yeah, cause
or Blue Sky. That'd be like another, what's it called?
Yeah.
Like interacting with the community on Blue Sky would probably be even worse.
Yeah, well, honestly, I don't really do much other than post and stuff on Blue Sky, because I don't know how engagement works on there yet. Like, I don't know if it's hopped off. But like, I think
probably sooner or later that thing is just like any kind of engagement you get from there is gonna like dip so quickly. So I'm like, yeah, this ain't a coin I feel like investing in. Sorry.
Yeah, because like I dabble, like I have, like outside of Instagram and Twitter, I have the Blue Sky. I had Kara, but I don't use that anymore as much.
There you go. That's your next time. Let me. What is that?
Yeah, it was.
And another Vic dip. I think that's what I'll have to get you for Christmas. Is get you an Ethernet cable.
I know, like, I don't know if you can hear me at all right now.
I just heard you now there. Yeah, I'll just probably say Vic dip from now on every time.
Okay, yeah, you do that. That way I'll know when to repeat myself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I said, Kara, which was basically like a new Twitter for art specifically. And then I did Tumblr. I still have the Tumblr. I post there every now and again, just because I want to have as much broad scope of just posting my stuff. But yeah, and back to the whole like liking villain characters argument thing. Because I make the comparison, like I love Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, but I would never say the same thing of like the Zodiac Killer, because like it's just that whole like fiction
versus reality. Vic dip. Vic dip. Vic dip 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 dip. Vic dip 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 dip. I think I can hear you breathing again.
Okay. Well, yeah, like, you know, Jason Voorhees versus the Zodiac Killer, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think like the thing too is that like most people are gonna get on you for liking Jason, but will get on you for liking Valentino's because Jason is essentially like just a killer. Like there isn't like this weird like there's almost like a weird lack of moral weight that's given to villains who kill versus like villains who like abuse people and things like that. And I think because it's a more touchy subject for like people, where it's like the chances of you getting attacked by like a serial killer or agreeing with a serial killer is like way lower than you being abused in like a relationship. So as a result, it's just something people are more touchy about. But then I think that like as a result, it makes this conversation more taboo and like really weird to like dance around, because people are gonna like be immature about the discussion in regards to
And then how do you handle writing villain characters for your stories?
When it comes to villain characters, I think that there is a lot of easy things that you can do when it comes to an antagonist. And I'm going to use the word antagonist to be ultra pedantic, because I think that you can have villains and then you can have antagonists. I think villains implies that that character will usually be inherently irredeemable and that you shouldn't really align with whatever it is that they're doing. Whereas with an antagonist, there can usually be some form of justification you can have for them. But when writing a villain, the best thing that you can do is work from making them a mirror of your hero, and then see what else you can then, once you've understood like your hero is this, so therefore your villain should be that, fleshing out personality traits and quirks that would make the villain logically like have these kinds of ideas, but don't make it so that like they feel as though they're the hero of their own story if that's not the type of villain that you want to have. If they are completely irredeemable, then that is completely fine. But just give a logical reason as to why they be the way they are. So like if someone's just a sadist, then it's completely fine to make them a sadist, in my opinion. And there is the Sea of Monsters.
Sea monster.
Yo.
How goes it?
It's all right.
My favorite seaman.
Yeah, doing okay.
Doing good. That's good. But yeah, we are on the subject of the villains, Sir Monster of Sea. So how would you write Villainies?
So I guess mainly depending on what I would kind of go for is like I would kind of want to have my villains, pretty much either alter, like have some kind of like a through line for why it is that they're doing what they're doing that makes some level of sense, to where it's like, would they believe that, make audience to kind of like make the whoever's like reading or listening to the story or what have you, like pretty much believe that the villain themselves would believe that their plans make sense. Kind of like how, I mean, I guess like this is kind of been cited as an example from like Mahler's like critique of TFA, like Thanos in Infinity War, like his plan doesn't, is very irrational because of the damage and implications that it could bring about, but he believes in himself ultimately. So it's, and like his rationale makes sense to him. So it's like, okay, it makes sense why he would believe in himself, pretty much. As well as or if I were to have like a villain be somewhat, like kind of like tragic or sympathetic somewhat, where it's like they're not necessarily like a villain doesn't have to necessarily be like strictly evil, just to like kind of like they make sense pretty much, but there is like a point where you can understand why the protagonist would need to be like, you can see how they could also be in the wrong ultimately. Mm-hmm. That's what I would kind of try to go for.
Yeah. Just to double check, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
There's been no victims. The distinct lack of dips is disappointing at the moment. There's been no victims, so therefore my plans for stream domination are currently at the moment halted, as I have conquered a C and I've conquered a Vic stream before as well, so we'll do so again. It's like Goofy.
That'd be fair. Do it again. If Vic dipped in this, then I think you and I would be fighting for dominance.
Yeah, but since I technically already conquered Sea Monster live, I think that would technically mean that I've already won that exchange there. By nature of, it's like annexing territory. It's like, should I say? Yeah, I'm gonna say it. Why not? You're like the Italy to my Germany.
Zim is just doing a monopoly on all the streams.
Yeah, Zimnopoly.
God.
Or Zim oligarchy. Zimopoly? A Zimnopoly. A Zinopoly.
The Zim powers.
The Zim powers.
Alright. Then let's see. Starting with Zim, and then going down to Sea Monster. What are you guys' favorite villains in media?
Oh wait, are we doing with me first?
Yeah.
Oh. Ooh. Interesting. I would probably say, so I'll do one. I'll do one from video games, one from books, and one from movies. So from video games, I really like Caesar from Caesar's Legion from Fallout New Vegas. Everything that like he does, like it makes sense as to why he would believe this. There's a lot of things that I believe that he's incorrect on, but I think that because this like the game really explores that, I find it so fascinating and interesting. And there's so many quirks about him that you get from like certain endings to the game, which like either results in him dying or him living, that he is such a well-rounded character and an amazing villain, in my opinion. So that'd be like my favorite villain from a video game. As for a villain from a movie, now there's a lot of people I could pick as a villain from a movie. Like, part of me wants to use Fletcher from Whiplash, but I think that Fletcher works so much better as, like, if I was to say, like, who my favorite antagonists are, that's who I'd pick. But if I was to go with villain, I would probably say Joker's an easy one, too, because I think that, like, Joker, because I believe that Joker also believes what he does, and as, like, at the end of The Dark Knight, when he tries to just set off the bombs manually on his own, it's sort of a betrayal of his ideals, but also it shows how dedicated that he is to believing what he believes, that he kind of forces the hand in that sense. So that's one thing I like. So yeah, like, I really, really want to say Joker, and because I'm trying to avoid like any Godzilla characters or villains of that nature. But yeah, in that case, yeah, I'll go with Joker. And then a favorite villain from a book is Judge Holden from Blood Meridian. Fascinating character, love his speeches. Dude's an actual literal like monster of a human, if he even is human. And he really highlights a lot of the themes of the story and things like the nature of war, causality even. And if I wasn't going to say Judge Holden, probably Griffith from Berserk would be another great villain because of his tragedy, but also like just how messed up he was even before he became Femto. So yeah, Caesar, Griffith / Femto, and Judge Holden and the Joker. Those would be like my examples.
All right. And Sea Monster, you can go next.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like shared the Joker sentiment, with the Zim, because I definitely find him to be a very, very well-rounded, very fascinating villain, pretty much in The Dark Knight, where he's all about like trying to to make a point about how like in the end, like people, like their darkest tendencies would just get the better of them when when things kind of get really dire for them ultimately, and that's kind of like how, and by using that sort of like ideology, that sort of philosophy, like as like a way to like dismantle that system, pretty much. That's kind of like built on like the lie of that being the case, like when he tears down essentially the White Knight of Gotham, Harvey Dent, pretty much. But I would say like other examples that I could think of. I probably like, I'm trying to think of like, it would almost be like sort of like a 1-2 punch between like, going into Star Wars, like between Darth Vader and Palpatine, pretty much. Because like on the one hand, you got like this tragic figure in Darth Vader who's been shaped into like this, who was like for all intents and purposes, a good man who got seduced by the dark side, by these powers, by this like great power of evil, and he just became like a monster. And it kind of like took like, like the dedication and love from his son, Luke, to try to like save him, to kind of like save his soul essentially. And you have like, Palpatine, who, like pretty much was the guy that shaped Anakin to become Vader. And I would say that like he was such a great manipulator, pretty much, in Return of the Jedi. But the prequels kind of like expand on that. Now, granted, the reason why sadly I probably would have to lean a bit more to Vader than Palpatine is, for one thing, Vader wasn't resurrected in the sequel trilogy, but Palpatine was into a vastly inferior version of himself. But
the final order.
Yeah.
Slop order.
The rise of Slop Walker.
I am all of the slop, and I am all of the slop. as well.
Oh God. But yeah, those are like pretty would be like two notable examples, or some notable examples there. At least right off the top of my head, those are like usually the ones I think of. In the immediate there. I'm sure there's others.
Yeah. For me, like when it comes to villains, like one thing that always I find appealing is for villains is like aesthetics and stuff. So like Scar from Lion King has always been one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, him too.
Yeah. Like I just love like his aesthetic and his whole, like just his charm, his villainous charm.
Yeah.
And then another one is Thrax from Osmosis Jones. I mentioned earlier before you guys hopped on. But Thrax from Osmosis is a cool one for similar reasons.
I think it's a character I'm familiar with.
Thrax from Osmosis Jones?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, he's really cool. I don't know if you know anything about Osmosis Jones.
No, like that's what I'm saying. Osmosis Jones.
Yeah, it's like an anime.
Yeah, I haven't seen this movie in years.
Yeah.
Like the moment I saw him, I'm like, oh right, that movie. Okay. No, there you go. That's a good movie.
Huh.
Yeah.
I just do not remember any of the names of the characters. I never had it on DVD. I would always see it on like, I want to say Disney, or it might have been a different channel, but I remember always seeing it on TV. Just not something I owned ever.
Yeah, I the most I remember from that movie, or particularly like that villain, aside from like the way he has like these really pointy fingers that I guess like do terrible things to things, is like how he kind of died, where I guess he like kind of got expelled from the body of the dude and falls into like, what is it, like I'm assuming it's water or something like that, and he just
yeah, he fell into alcohol. Like rubbing alcohol.
Yeah, and then he just like, I was like, damn.
He got taken out by booze. I respect
Yeah.
Dang, imagine losing to something I put down every night. Sounds like a skill issue to me, boy.
Yeah, I know. Imagine being defeated by something that I have in my hand right now.
Bro, I scale above Thrax. I drink alcohol, you died to alcohol, therefore I outspeed Zim low diffs next time on Death Battle.
Yeah. I was after listening to you guys a little bit about like how how you're not, how people kind of like say like you're not allowed to like a villain because otherwise you might be in the
you might actually be that, you might actually agree with that villain.
Yeah, you agree with their ideology, and yeah, that whole discourse is like really lame. Like I don't know if you guys like even mentioned the whole thing of like about Joker 2019 or anything like that.
No, we have not.
I mean, that was like that's definitely like one of the more notable examples of that sort of thing. Of like, oh, is it like, oh, this movie is like trying to get you to agree with Arthur Fleck killing people and all that out of revenge for what they did, for what society did to him. It's like, no, no, that's not at all what this movie's trying to say, and not at all what we're thinking it's trying to say. You damn well know it.
Yeah, it's really funny. It's like, bro, like, stop being disingenuous at that point.
It's no nuance. People just like so lacking in nuance, and because of that,
no nuance.
It's like even Todd Phillips himself like didn't even understand that kind of nuance with his movie. That's why he made the sequel the way he did, which.
Yeah, I still have not watched that movie.
I still will never watch that movie.
Don't. If you've seen the first Joker, the 2019 one with Joaquin Phoenix, and if you value that movie, don't go watch this. Don't watch the sequel. Don't.
I have respect for myself, so I will not go and watch that film.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back and watch the first movie at some point in the future, pretty much, but yeah, it's just kind of like, and I'll just watch it as like a nice little one and done movie, one and done story, one off that, stands on its own really nicely, and just, it's like, like it considered the sequel to just be like a really bad fever dream.
It was all in Joker's head.
Yeah. Well, it was
the only good thing about the Joker sequel is Joker's fate. That is the only thing that I find somewhat mildly entertaining about that part of the movie. About that, not that part, just that part, but the movie in general is just that. Outside of that, yeah, no, I'm good. Thanks, Chief.
What, his face or fate?
His fate.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I just find that like when that happening to him so funny. I was like, okay, I guess that's what we're doing.
I mean, the thing about having him go out like that, go out essentially in that movie, it's like my issue with him with his fate more or less isn't so much the fact of like, oh, I was never expecting him to. It's not that I was like rooting for him to like get out of it or get it, come out of it. Like I'm like nobody was expecting should have been expecting a happy ending from the movie, but it was like, I don't know. Like I kind of think that the way that they just completely tore him down to the point where they just where it's like, you know what, let's just have I guess in a way it was the way they ended it, the way they kind of had him go out. I guess it's like for the crazy point that you were trying to go for, maybe, but I mean,
for me, I just find it funny because it's like it feels like so like mean spirited in a way, and I'm like, it's like I guess like I will say this and I will say it again. Never, if you have Todd Phillips direct anything of yours, do not let him direct a sequel. He is famously known for not liking or wanting to do sequels. Just don't don't have him do a sequel.
Yeah,
like give it to someone else who wants to do it, who wants to play around in the universe. Whether Todd objects to it or not, it doesn't matter. It's not his character at the end of the day. It's just a character that he got to do one interpretation of, and you are playing in the sandbox of another person. Give it to someone else.
Yeah, and you're continuing off of the foundation of that first movie.
It just feels like he really wanted to make sure that no one else could do anything with his version of Joker, so they killed him off in like the most like sad, pathetic way possible. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, and just kind of like take away, just undo everything that the first movie did. Yeah.
All right, then how about this for the next topic? If you could have a director direct a film from any one of like your own properties, who would you pick? Zim, you go.
Ooh, interesting. I would like to see Antoine Fuqua. He was the guy behind Terminalist. I would love to see him, or the guy who directed John Wick. I'd love to see either one of those two directors take on a Kerberos Panzer Cop movie. So that's from the same universe as Jinro, the Wolf Brigade, Red Spectacles, Stray Dogs. I'll show you what the armor looks like, because if anyone sees the armor, they've probably seen it. They probably know what I'm referring to from that.
I actually meant like one of your properties.
So
the Zagora movie or something.
Oh, okay. Actually, you know what? Still, I'd probably still go with that. I'd probably say I would love to have Antoine Fuqua direct. Actually, I'll do two. So I would love to see Antoine Fuqua direct a Kaiju 2000 movie or TV show, and I would love to see Denis Villeneuve do a Zogra movie. Those would be the two directors I would love to dedicate to my properties. So Antoine Fuqua for Kaiju 2000 and Denis Villeneuve for Zogra.
How about you, Sea Monster? What properties or stories you've made that you would want, or what director would you want to tackle those?
Oh God, I'm trying. Here's the thing: I don't think any of those works that I've done, that original works that I've done, are actually have ever been published. So I'm not even sure. So I don't know if I can even answer that question, to be honest.
Well, you could do one of your pitches, or either for established stuff, any of your Godzilla, or anything that you've shared.
Okay, all right. So I guess if I have hand off the sequel to that one original Godzilla story pitch that I did for that's kind of the sort of anthology Cloverfield type Godzilla thing, just kind of build off of that. I honestly, I could totally see myself handing it off to Matt Reeves, who kind of did Cloverfield, ironically, but yeah, we'll just kind of build it off from there. I mean, considering how well he did, building off of Rise of the Planet of the Apes by doing his 2 sequels to that, and how, and apparently how so far he's been cooking with the Batman universe currently. I still have to watch The Penguin, though. I've heard that show is excellent. I would totally be down to see what he would do with the foundation that I laid out with Godzilla Darkest Night, I believe that was called. That'd be pretty cool.
For your choices of directors, is that in part due to because you yourself are taking inspiration from them, or are there any other factors?
I pretty much think that he could make, I mean, there is a little bit of that, admittedly, but I definitely think his track record and the fact that he was able to, put out absolute bangers of films in the Planet of the Apes and Batman stuff, I pretty much have a lot of confidence in him as a storyteller and as a filmmaker. So, that's pretty much where I would sit on that.
Yeah, I would say probably if I was to explain more on my idea, I think I'd want Fuqua to do Kaiju 2000 because that story focuses way more on a mixture of human action and kaiju action. And as a result, I think that it'd be interesting to see how he tackle gunfights that also involve giant monsters being in the action or near the action, and how he'd do that. And then I would want Villeneuve because I think that given what I'd want to do as a Zogura project or sequel, I think he'd be able to capture the weight, but also the liminalness to Zogura as a character, and the sort of almost emptiness that a lot of the main characters in the stories I want with that character would be feeling because I would say I would love to see him direct a character similar to K from Blade Runner 2049 in a Zogura project. It just aesthetically it sings to me.
Yeah. And I guess one further elaboration on my choice, considering that my Godzilla Darkest Night pitch was somewhat inspired by Cloverfield, and Matt Reeves did do Cloverfield, and due to my curiosity, and also with regard to my curiosity, what he would have done with a Cloverfield sequel if he was ever given an opportunity to, if the studios and J.J. Abrams were smart enough to let him do it. I definitely think it would be him doing a follow-up on Godzilla Darkest Night could be a sort of here's probably what he probably would have done with a direct sequel to Cloverfield if there was an opportunity, but just with the canvas of Godzilla Darkest Night. That's yeah, it would almost be giving him an opportunity that he pretty much otherwise would never have been able to because of how the Cloverfield IP has kind of been treated.
Do you have faith in the upcoming sequel? Do you have faith in the upcoming sequel to Cloverfield?
I'm not. Here's the thing. Until I pretty much see like 100% no bullshit confirmation that we are getting it. I honestly, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm not even sure if it'll even if that's still even happening until I see proof of it actually happening, where it's like straight up. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna happen. Probably not.
I see. Well, like, because for me and my stories, I don't know, because I like to take a little bit of influence from lots of directors. Surprised to no one here, I'm sure. Roland Emmerich is one of my favorite directors, and then Anna Wingard too. So, Wingard's the most likely I would hand off my properties to, just because I do take a lot of influence from his style.
Wingard for actually, you know, I understand that entirely, and I think that actually Wingard would be a much better match for a Pocho series, and I think he'd make a more beloved Pocho movie than he ever would a Godzilla movie. There's my hot take.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, yeah, like, I think, like, I probably would be chill with giving Wingard, like, you know, reign to do the movie visually, but I would not let him go near, like, a pen and paper for the script. Like, like, I would just be like, no, get someone else to write this. I don't know, like, whoever's like a really good writer, just get him to do that. I mean, Wingard, you can make the pretty visuals and all that, but I would not let him have any input in the writing. That's kind of how it is. Godzilla or otherwise.
Share my screen.
Ooh, what is this?
Me to Wingard the moment he doesn't have Pocho headbutt an opponent the first chance he gets. Me to Adam Wingard the moment Pocho's like 1/10 of a color warmth off. You ruin the character, Wingard. You must die.
You know what I would do? As manager of the Zimzilla brand, I would sell the rights to a Zogura movie to Roland Emmerich.
I would like literally the hostile takeover, and the amount of things I would do to that man would be it defies comprehension. The mess I would leave him in if he touched. Well, I would literally be like, you are within your rights to touch Zogura, but if that film is not the most depressing thing in terms of story as possible, I will ask for 100% of the earnings and your salary from this, sir.
No, he's gonna start it off with some wimpy character akin to Matthew Broderick, just going singing in the rain.
No, like I think that literally, if Roland Emmerich ever got the chance to direct a Zogura movie, I think probably there would be a wimpy character being like, nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows but me. And then he makes probably Zogura an alien for some reason. And yeah, and then like be like, oh my gosh, we just have to like blow up his chest cavity because that's where his weakness is, guys. It's glowing, so it's like a weakness in a video game, you guys.
So you make him an alien, like what the initial pitch was for the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles.
Exactly. Yeah, he's like an alien. Gazogra's an alien for some reason, and he doesn't have a There is no like, and he doesn't shoot energy blasts anymore. Like it's at like maybe at best you get like a corrosive sap, or if anything, I get like just a giant power breath again. There's like no connection to humanity in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, and then there's like maybe a baby, like an alien Zogra at the end, and it's like it looks like a face hugger, not a face hugger, it looks like a chest burster, and then that's how you sequel bait for the second 98 Zogra movie. So yeah, that would be how that's probably the 98 Zogra project.
Tell me more about Zogura. Tell me about his inception.
So, goody. Actually, I don't think you've probably seen it before, but let me just pull up my DVR because you actually get to see, because he originally he never had a name. He was just Zimzilla. That was just the name of the character for the longest time. And yeah, so where are you, boy? Yeah, there he is. Let me pull up the first Zogura drawing ever.
All right, let me see.
Yeah, that was the original design for Zogura. So the dual crests were there, but he had like a traditional theropod stance. Originally, so the reason why there's like a stick person there was that originally it was just gonna be an alien dinosaur, and the colors were originally orange, but then I changed it to the green. He didn't have the split jaw. He had a forked tongue, and yeah, so that was the first of the Zimzilla designs. This was the evolved form, which still had the 3 eyes. You started to see the dewlap, the 4 fingers like any Godzilla villain, and the slate bodies there, but that throat dewlap didn't attach properly. You didn't see the legs here anymore, but he also had like kind of 98-ish looking spines there. The head's very different. And then same design, but I would try to work at a different angle. So like there's no definition in the body here. And then that was me in a drawing pad, which I'm actually going to pull out that drawing pad because I'm thinking about using a different program. So while I'm on streams, I don't have as much bandwidth taken up with Reflector for myself. And I'll probably Procreate be like my main source for my drawings. But that's essentially the same design as this, but digital form. So same thing, essentially. Lots and lots of teeth, as well as he had red gums at one point. He had red gums. And then this is something else I did. Same kind of deal. Like the crests, instead of them being like super jagged and like very like callous, it was essentially just all skin over the spines there. Which I might revisit this actually. But yeah. And then this was the evolved form because this is where you get the armor here. This is where the idea of having armor around the upper arms and the legs came into play. That's the first part of like any chest color thingies there. But essentially this was all done to because I wanted the power up in the original story. So, and that's when I had changed the name from just Zimzilla to Zengilus, which was a reference to Gogilus from Zoids. So I used the Zoids name, which was fun. And then I did a few different things. This was like a chibi one, a grimdark one, where I tried to do a few different things with him. And I just realized that one of the designs that kind of really informed like where Zogura would change is, and I never uploaded it actually, but I can probably find it. But yeah, so with this, I wanted to give him almost ears here for a second, and then that's where the highlighting of the black around the eyes came into play. The tongue changed. This is where the armor sort of stayed. I had some highlights on the spines, the increasing of the spines of the tail. The chest core is still there. And then this was the updated design, and this is like kind of stayed as the Zimzilla design for a long time. So the digitigrade legs are there, the 3 fingers are there, the upper arm and upper leg armor is there, the gray around the eyes, the shape of the crest is sort of the same here, and you have the 98 spines with the neck and back fence, which is all essentially there at that point. And then you come to this one, essentially the same design, but try to work around like how I'm getting the like legs to look properly, things of that nature.
Nice.
And that's essentially what Zogra looks like for the longest time, and I think actually, because I ever put it on DeviantArt, I think it was on Instagram. Yeah, let's do Instagram first. It's probably there. I have to go all the way down, which actually probably means we'll see Takaiju's take on Zogra as well, because so we'll do that one, and then I think I have to go really, really far down for him. Nope. Yep, there he is. So, of course it doesn't do that. I just want. Okay, we'll do it like this then. There we go. Unless it also wants to be a bum and not show me it. I'll stop sharing, and I will, once I get this going, I can show the design there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why it's being annoying like this. I might have to do it from... Maybe doing it from... What's it called? Google Chrome. That might change it. We'll see. But in the meantime, you can talk about the Popo Chomolo while I try to pull these up.
The who and the what now?
The Pocholo.
Yeah, I was gonna see if I could pull it up myself, but Pocho for the longest time, and then the Minecraft World's still in the chat. We're still going for a good while, until either you guys got
2 hours, bro. Light work.
Yeah, I did share in the Discord Minecraft if you care to join. You're a regular here often. We had Pocho for the longest time. I actually just, if I can get it to my ex, my Twitter.
I think about the time you were like your ex. I'm like, wait, what? Hey, yo, what?
No time for Vic lore here. Oh yeah, I know Minecraft. You're not at home right now, but we shall see. If you care to stay in the chat, I'll keep an eye on you. But yeah, I don't know how long it's been, but I did share on Twitter. Like one of the first inceptions of Pocho, which was essentially I wanted to do, which if anyone remembers the stories we shared for original stuff, for Pocho's origin story, I had this story that was essentially an origin story, taking most inspiration from Gamera the Brave, because it's one of my favorite kaiju movies. I really like that one. And again, Zen, let me know if I dip in and out.
Yeah, don't worry.
But yeah, I really like that movie. And I wanted to have like my own kaiju universe that I want to build. Okay. Am I still good? Just because
You're good.
Okay.
Yep.
But yeah, I wanted my own kaiju verse. And I wanted my own Godzilla archetype character. And of course, for the longest time, it was basically I wanted this like Godzilla archetype character. And I wanted to do something to where it was like this. I wanted it to be a good guy. I wanted there to be like this connection between the character. And another influence was Godzilla Jr. from Godzilla the series, and also a baby Godzilla from Mechagodzilla 2. Since Mechagodzilla 2 from the Heisei series is one of my favorite Godzilla movies. My favorite of the Heisei, I want to say. It's also one of my favorite Godzilla designs. Yeah, I just like the whole story of essentially it's like the E.T. story, where you have like a creature character and a human character, and they have this bond. And so Monstros next. Oh no! But yeah, and there's like this prototype version that I worked on, and there's like a whole ton of different influences. I know one influence came from, I don't know if anyone knows this little dinosaur anime. I forget what it's called, but it's like this T-Rex adopts this little
Ankylosaur?
I think so.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I forget the name.
Yeah. I know, it's like something or other. I forget the name. But yeah, I took influence from that, and like I want to have like this stylized kaiju that obviously takes influence from Godzilla 98. And I also, because I love that Godzilla so much, and because most people, when they do a Godzilla archetype character, when it comes to kaiju, they'll go with like the traditional upright stance and then work their way around it. I wanted to do it with the 98 stance. Since you don't see that, and I mentioned before, like Zetus from Gamera the Brave is like one of the only other kaiju that sort of has that look. And he's another one of my favorite kaiju. So I wanted to have that kind of character. I'm trying to see if I can find a pic to pull up. I don't know. Maybe I'll just share. But because I don't have my login on my laptop.
Shameful.
Shame.
Again, I don't have everything at my disposal like using.
Yeah, I know one thing I'm definitely gonna want to do because I'm getting a mic stand for my mic, so I probably sound a little soft here on stream, but that mic stand's gonna be able to bring it closer to my face, as well as you're gonna hear less of like the that comes in from my chair. So I'm gonna be very happy with that. But as well as while you're looking for things as well, I actually found I found a old PowerPoint that I made about Zogra that I hadn't checked on it in a while, but I added a few things to it just for posterity's sake, which I can also share as well while you're looking for your things. So there we go. And I just want to add a few things. So
just let me know once you're ready to share.
I'm ready, yeah.
All right, cool. Here we go.
Yeah, so like a lot of this is really old lore that isn't even really relevant anymore. But the design, this is probably where like Zogra peaked for a little bit, because the back vents now have the armor around them and they more meld into the body. The bigger spines on the tail have just become the armor along the tail, which is all spiny here. The body's a little bit more squashed in, but I think I liked his stockier look. And the spines have become less 98 spines and a more just giant like slate spine, somewhat to like 2014 in a way. And I was also looking at other influences when I was designing this, so like a Dunkleosteus sort of head for the armor, samurai armor for the armor here, the lizard for the dewlap, the alien for the eyes and how they're positioned, snakes for the stomach, eagle talons, and the zygodactyl nature for the legs. Classic retro dinosaurs. I also really like the jagged crown for Skyrim, so I wanted to incorporate some of that into the design, and like gator tail for the tail, obviously. And now these are a few other Zogra designs that I had done between then and now. So there was obviously the original, the evolved, the Zengelus design, and sort of base for a while. This one was designed after Henry the Host, or he used to go by. He came from a monster movie podcast, which was his podcast at the time. He did a design for me at G-Fest that I took some inspiration from. So spine's a little bit more yellow, armor's a little bit more goldish tinted, and the stomach's purple instead of the slate blue. This design I did during college class. The professor was a little late, so I was doodling this on my notepad. The design is more horizontal, but I liked the look, and it translated into these designs, which, interestingly enough, this one, which at the time is this, and this were being shown off, and this was the least popular. And little did I know that I would come back to this sort of shape later down the line. But this one I'd done in reference to another monster, so I used a lot of the base proportions, which were refined when I did this as my second go around, which then became this design, which again, armor on the head, lack of teeth, which this one did have teeth. So kind of went in and out with the teeth. And then I finally settled on this design, which is pretty much just this design, a little bit less armor, but I really liked what I did with the head as well as the tail. And then this design I also did while I was at college, expanded out on it onto like a full page. And this was sort of the status quo when it came to Kaiju's take, which the nasal crest was very thin. The eyes were really big, but I liked how he did the split job. I was happy with. I liked what he did with the arms, the legs, everything. But when I was redoing other proportions, I was like, he's a little on the chunkier side, which is why then I ended up settling on this design. And I was pretty happy with it for a while, where I liked the fact that he didn't have teeth. He was like very Dunkleosteus inspired with how the fact that's all just bone for them. And then after I'd done a digital design, which was essentially just this, but on Procreate, I really wanted to revamp how he looked. So I just decided that I was going to make the head really large, the arms really large, and the legs really large, the body keep really squat. But instead of having a really long tail, like a lot of dinosaur designs tend to do, I wanted to shorten the tail, give him some spines there. And essentially the profile is like very like wide square here, big triangle, small triangle, and the triangles descend down. So you essentially get square, triangle, triangle, square, square, small square, big square, little triangles. And then I brought back the chest core stuff, which I thought gave him this otherworldly kind of vibe to him. And since then, I've been also doing some more with how I wanted the design to look. So I've been working on from there. But yeah,
Nice.
that is where the Zogura has come. And yeah, if Minecraft World, yeah, it's Zogara. So similar to how Gojira is Gojira, same thing for Zogura, Zogara. So yeah, actually, when you're looking at how to spell Zogura in the katakana, the Zo is one that you don't see a lot with characters, whereas Ga, same thing for Gamera, and Ra for Gojira. So those two katakana are ones that people probably see pretty often. But
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I remember I had seen a video I think you did probably a while ago at this point. When you think you featured some of that stuff, so
yeah, it was in, I think it was in the
Yeah,
Zotagara is in the Zotagara Kaiju review, which is the last Kaiju review I have uploaded on the channel. Not the last one, like I'm not going to do any ever again. It just, they take longer and I really want to do them justice because they're other people's characters. But I did, I believe, show that off in that video, kind of going over my own design processes. So
when's the next Kaiju versus?
the next Kaiju versus, I'm not sure. I think those are much better. Those are way easier for debates. So even though like the one I did do got me like 1.8k views, I'd rather do more art stuff and then do versus on debates, because I think that I can just do them better as a result there. But yeah, like I'm happy like where I am at with Zogura at the moment, and more to come. Plus, like origins wise, that changed a whole lot, because at one point, yeah, Zogura or Zimzilla at the time was an alien, and then I really wanted to connect him to like Norse mythology, and then I realized that like that wasn't working because he had to stray so much from the myths. I was like, then why am I using them as a base anyway? And his name doesn't even have a match to like anything from Norse mythology. And like at one point I wanted to call him Nidhogg, but then I was like, nah, if I'm just gonna make him a mythological monster, then I might as well just do that instead of making an original character. So then I wanted to tie him a little bit to like angelology, so like Enochian and stuff like that. So then that's where like the idea of the Vovum came into Zogura's character, because that is the Enochian word for dragon. But I ditched that, and now I'm kind of where I'm at now with his character, which is I'm happy with the direction it is, and it definitely I feel it's very much separated from like what I want to do with Kaiju 2000 or any of the Gigantic stuff I've been working on. So I would say like to give a brief synopsis as to what Zogra is as a character, and due to the character kind of always being associated with like rage in general, Zogra is less like a actual monster or entity and more a paracausal idea and like a manifestation of the idea of human anger as a whole. And with the story that I'm working on for him, Zogra is able to manifest due to like a lot of unrest that's happening in the world, and due to like how society like fears like people's anger, and like how do you channel that into a proper way. That's sort of like the societal fear that my monster wants to tackle. And not to spoil all the depressing bits that happen when it comes to Zogra's character, but yeah, like it's definitely something that's personal to myself, but also something I feel I want to do more research before I really dig deeper into it and make it a big project I'm focusing on.
Nice.
I see.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. So I got some of my stuff for Pocho here. So we'll swing it right back over there. Because, let's see, I might have to streamception.
The streamception.
Or just, can I just, share, and then, boom. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Can you see Pocho?
Yep.
There we go.
There it is.
Hopefully I don't expose myself. But yeah, so here's like the base Pocho that we have now. One of my most recent drawings. He's stayed this way for a long while. When this was like his initial inception. I guess I've developed a few things over the years. Especially since last I featured him on one of your Kaiju streams on the Zimcast. But yeah, you can see the obvious influences, I feel, because I put a little bit of 98 into him. And then recently, as Godzilla evolved, I think I've reintroduced some of those influences as well. Since another reason I like Godzilla Evolved is like he's, in many ways, he's even more like Godzilla 98 now than he was before. So yeah, I put those things into him. And then let's see here. And then let's see. This is a conception for a live action Pocho. I shared it on Discord here, done by this artist here. Very good artist.
It's interesting because they don't usually do a whole lot of live action stuff. They usually do more cartoony designs. So it's interesting to see them tackle Pocho in a more realistic design.
Yeah, I was honestly quite surprised with this because I had reached out to a few different artists that I had lined up, and I'm still reaching out here and there. I was surprised with the because I pitched it as a semi-realistic, because I've seen some of their other pieces, and I thought, yeah, I think I could work with this for a more live action take. Because what recently inspired this piece as well that I wanted to commission from someone was the recent upcoming live action How to Train a Dragon. Because my feelings towards it, I'd say, are a little different than it for myself, definitely for most live action remakes of animated films, specifically. Because I personally, down the line, if I ever make my own cinematic universe, I always conceptualize it as an animated cinematic universe. Down the line, I see myself also wanting to do a live action remake of the initial film that I'll have. That's the origin story that I featured on the other story shares. And because there's a specific why I want to do it. Because obviously this all Inception, I intend it to be a suit. Because I want to do a movie with a man in a suit. So, yeah, so that's gonna be if I ever make that. And then
I could totally see like Paulus Anderson It feels like
Mm.
the design here feels like something that his team would probably do a pretty good job bringing to life.
Yeah, because I know it's definitely something I want to see for Pocho here. Because I love suitmation, so I want to go that route for any live action film I would make. But like here, I did a post a while ago. Like this is like the inception of the character, and it's very different in a lot of ways from what he is now. But like clearly, it's like a '98 like base archetype with the pose, and then there are lots of different influences for this one. He had different, more like synapsity type head, which is simple spikes going along. I would still want to reuse this for something else, but this is like the Inception prototype of Pocho. This was even before I had a name for this kaiju, but like this is the Inception here. What are your guys' take on this Inception?
His name is now Skibbity. That is his name. As master of the Drawcast and lord of the Sea Monster Live and herald of the Zimcast, his name is now Skibbidius. Skibbidius.
Yeah, I mean,
because Skibbidi's across the city.
Yeah, sort of neat little dinosaurian design here going on.
Gives me like, if I was to guess, although I'm probably wrong, what kind of dinosaur it is, like the influences, it reminds me kind of like what a Herrerasaurus would kind of vibe with. Because like Herrerasaurs usually like they're the one dinosaurs that have 4 fingers in comparison to other theropods, and their heads are also very square and boxy. So if that would be my first thought if someone's asked me like, what monster do you think, or like what dinosaur do you think this is based off of?
Yeah, I did do a little bit of a mixing of different dinosaur, especially head shapes, because I'm a fan of like the boxy, bulky type of heads. Of course, 98 and Monsterverse 2 is somewhat of a degree, even though his head is proportionally smaller. I like the more shape definition added to things like the heads of kaiju and stuff. I like that whole lizardy dinosauring type of thing. But yeah, this was it for a while. I even had like different versions for like quote unquote different eras for it. And then eventually it came to this. And I don't know if anyone remembers, I did have versions
of this.
Essentially this design, but Pocho did have like forearm spikes at one point. I took those off eventually because I felt it was redundant to have a punching theme and then like a slicing thing here. So I just went with the whole punching aspect of it since Pocho is like essentially a brawler type of kaiju. And then I did want to develop his abilities because essentially the only real ability he has, or that he had up to a certain point, was like a flame breath that I gave him that he has, which is essentially like a flamethrower type of breath outside of his physical capabilities. But then I did do this one, which is basically like a burning Godzilla or like an energized Godzilla type of thing. And then essentially this power-up is essentially he converts all of his energy that he has and he turns it into pure heat. So it gives a boost to his flame attack. It gives a boost to his physical abilities to where he's like hot to the touch. And he's essentially like Burning Godzilla, where things will start to melt around him the hotter he gets. And then I wanted to keep it grounded in terms of the power. I didn't want this to be like an overpowered state. So I just wrote in the caveat of like since it uses up all his energy, he can only use it for a certain amount of time before he starts to overheat and like succumbs to exhaustion. And then once he uses it, he's pretty much finished at that point. So it's like a last ditch effort to end the fight, but he'll only really use it if like it's a certain life or death fight, or if something happens that makes him just that mad.
Interesting. Like, it kind of one thing that like I think you could also do is that if the same effect that you have for his noggin you did for like his knuckle dusters around his arms would also work too. Because since he's using his head and his fists, that kind of can show where the energy is most concentrated in besides the spines, as well as it also gives it's similar to how like Brachydios is the same way with his fists.
Yeah.
But didn't you say Brachydios was an influence on him?
Partially. I want to say, there's this thing with me. Whenever I design kaiju, somebody in the chat always says, "Oh, it reminds me of this thing," and I'm like, I have no idea what that is. I've never seen that before. I think there was another monster I designed. Hammerhead was the only name I ever called him. He was another kaiju I featured a while ago. But I know Brachydios, I think, from Monster Hunter, right?
Yeah, Brachydios from Monster Hunter. Wasn't Hammerhead the Triceratops one? Or was that Wrecking Ball?
No. Hammerhead is I haven't done a recent Hammerhead design. But like he was the one with like the prong head and the big booky body.
Yeah, then I'm thinking of Wrecking Ball then.
Yeah. Wrecking Ball is another one of my characters. I did. Yeah, I'll pull them up in a bit, but yeah, there's that. Back to the regular streams. Yeah, so that's the inception of Posho there.
You know, we fucks with it heavy.
Thank you. See, Monster, have you shared any like original kaijus before or other type of things?
No, I haven't actually.
Well, I remember like you had a design, but it was like a very, very kind of loose design.
Yeah, for Monolith. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think somebody else even like kind of did a drawing of it. Kind of like taking some, at least like the general concepts of what I've put forth for design and just sort of adapted it, and it was pretty neat what I saw there. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, no, actually, what's it called? But I can do, because it should still be in the Whippy Dippies, but one sec, I'm just saving something. Whippity. Where is he? Where are you? Actually, yeah. Give me uno momento, actually. Because I might do a stream soon on aesthetics for designing monsters, but I have been working on 3 monsters that I've been working on redesigning. All of them are for Kaiju 2000, because one thing I've noticed to myself was that when it came to the Gigantic stuff and the Kaiju 2000 stuff, I was feeling that some of the designs were getting a little too samey between the universes, but I wasn't wanting to actually change up or like merge the two, so then I would have like less aesthetic design work to focus on. And as I like made a conscious effort to move away from certain design philosophies in Kaiju 2000, it's allowed me to sort of reassess what I wanted to do with certain monsters. Because let me do that. I can share my screen here with some designs that I have that I'm working on redoing at the moment, and I've been working on them as the stream's gone on too.
All right, here we go.
So Hydratus was the Kaiju 2000 monster that I probably was the least happy with when I originally did it. And I think it was like afterwards when I was looking at it, aesthetically it looks fine. I think the colors could have been changed to be a little bit more pleasing. And that was like the main thing that was on my mind. But the more I looked at it, I was like, I understand the monster's supposed to be like based off of Tenistropheus, but as like I looked at it, I was like, it just kind of looks like a sea serpent. And then the two big like flashy design things about it, which are his neck frill and his back spines, are references to a Margosaurus, which is the main creature I wanted him to have the most influences on. So as I went on to redesign some kaiju, he's the first one I wanted to do. So I have some more Tenistropheus drawings here, but then another monster that ended up, that one is going in its own different direction. It's for like a portion of Kaiju 2000 that's like far down the line. But the Ligosquama back spines, that whole element got taken out of that monster. And I was like, well, the main thing I wanted to do with the first set of Kaiju 2000 monsters was a lot of them, I wanted them to be based off of Triassic animals. So I was like, Tenistropheus, Ligosquama, I could work with that. So that's where this design's been. And I have two versions of it that I'm working on at the moment. One with just spines along the back, and another one I'm going to see if I can reincorporate some fins into this area here. But the head's completely changed, where this one's more like dragon vipery, which I think I based off of Manda, and not Manda from Godzilla, Manda from Naruto, but it has spines there. I wanted to actually give the head to make it look more like Tenistropheus. So I'm working more with the head there, the leg shaped here, and seeing what Ligosquama elements I could add to the design. And then the next one was Agira, where if you're looking at this design, you'd assume it's probably just like a turtle, and that's about it. And with the designs here, it's actually like an amphibian with a shell. And I wanted to base it off of amphibians that you see in like the Permian, Carboniferous, and the Triassic. But I don't think that was really well displayed here with this design, where he does kind of look more like a turtle. I think the skin design, it doesn't portray that as well either, where you don't see the fact that he's able to store water into the shell here and the other spines, and then projectiles like a steam to kind of do a semi-Gamera type of thing. But it just he looks just kind of like a turtle with some stuff on him. So I wanted to change up the arms and stuff. And this is where I wanted to differentiate Kaiju 2000 from the Gigantus stuff, where Agira here is like a very ornate kind of basic design. I feel like it fit more with the Kaiju 2000s, not Kaiju 2000, the Gigantus stuff, because that I wanted to base more off of American monsters, while this I wanted to have more of a Godzilla, like Japanese sort of inspiration. And I think that with the Godzilla, like the Kaiju 2000 stuff especially, I wanted to do more, like go a little bit more into the Monster Hunter angle with certain designs. So that's why the arms are a little bit bigger, and I'm working on a totally different style of skin to make it more apparent that he's an amphibian, which with the more I've been getting better at Procreate, I think I can achieve. And this design, Panthera, which was originally for a Godzilla pitch I did a long time ago, which has been following in essentially their design trends. And I just want to see what I could do and revisit this monster. And I feel like I haven't used it in a while. What can I do to put it into a setting where I feel like I get some use out of her? And that's kind of where I'm at with her, where she's a lot leaner than the original design, where it's a little bit more stockier. And I don't have any of them shown here, but there's a little bit more Therapsid influences. And I want to see next the Lacosmilus with a Therapsid like Inostran Sevia and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of where I've been at with some designs recently and sort of aesthetics, as it were.
Neat.
Super neat. I will say for the amphibian thing, if you want, one thing I do for most of my amphibian characters is I always like, if I don't like either explicitly reference like the sort of shapes that amphibians have, like I'll do like warty patches here and there, since I think that's pretty synonymous with like amphibious, like toads and stuff. Certain newts,
yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. Is I want to
bumps.
give him like warts and bumps, but I also to way to preserve my line art, I now with a lot of my designs I'll do an extra layer to the first to the blacked out lines, so that I can infuse more like softer colors onto the skin, and I think that since I've been playing more with light, I'm gonna keep the same base colors, but I'm gonna have more lighter patches to allude to the fact that his skin's kind of wet like an amphibian, and as a result it feels a little bit more dynamic and a bit more like it had more texture to him.
Let's see. When it comes to kaiju designing aesthetics, what are some of your favorite like films, properties, stuff like that, when it comes to the aesthetics of kaiju creature designs and whatnot?
Well, let's see. Answer this first, and I'll probably make this my last question, so I have to be up early tomorrow. So I don't want to hog too much of the spotlight as much as I already have. So go.
C.
Okay. So, and I guess this is just going off of like any designs in general, I suppose. Okay. I guess like somewhere in the mix of like I kind of think some of the Millennium entries of Godzilla kind of like are probably where some of my favorite kaiju designs even sort of come from, you know. like you know, because like I've always kind of gravitated towards Millennium Goji, Final Wars Goji, the way Mothra kind of looks in like the later Millennium, like from GMK and Tokyo SOS and Final Wars and so on and so on. I think it probably like maybe just like a slight tweakage of them to like if we were to like probably would be a little more palatable for some, like if they were to like translate into like a, let's just say, a hypothetical version of the MonsterVerse where that's like a little where the designs aren't the same pretty much, but you know, they are kind of like as what we see in currently, but yeah, maybe just kind of like tweak them a little bit. And honestly, I think having it, you know, or even having to do the translation of like designs as they've appeared in the Atari Pipeworks trilogy, I guess, because honestly, that's kind of where Destroy All Monsters Melee was kind of where I kind of really started to be familiar with the bigger Godzilla roster at the time when I was a kid. So that's a neat little thing there. But and I guess as far as what you know, what to do, like if I were to do some kind of continuation of the MonsterVerse, believe it or not, like that little while we're on topic of this, I pretty much that little hypothetical sort of fan design of like MonsterVerse Goji where he kind of has the spine looking the same as his evolved version from GXK, but they're pretty much in tone with like with his pre-evolved look. And he's like, you know, a little stockier, like he's kind of somewhere in between how, you know, where like in terms of like body mass, you know, what have you. Like I saw that, you know, I saw Zim share that on Twitter, and I was just like wow, that's pretty much on point with what I would like to see Godzilla as in the next MonsterVerse film. But yeah, like I mean, there's kind of like a decent, like I would say Millennium, like whatever designs that we've gotten in the Millennium era of Godzilla, or the Pipeworks series, or some of the stuff in the MonsterVerse, you know, and maybe like a couple neat, some of the like probably like some of the most what I would consider to be the more standout-ish of designs from like for the kaiju from Pacific Rim sort of stuff, like Otachi and you know, what have you, that, you know, those things really stick out to me.
Yeah, really good stuff there. Like I think Millenniums are also some of my favorite aesthetic wise designs as well, and Pacific Rim is like up there as two.
Yeah, and I also really like Cloverfield, Clover, pretty much, as far as that goes. Just like this really, like not, I don't know if sickly would be the right word for it, but like, so like considering how, like how very, like how, like considering how huge he is, like still paradoxically like thin he is, where he still has that body mass, but there's something like unnatural, like with the way like he almost looks kind of bony in the arms and the legs. So
Yeah.
and very amphibious look, like very freaky looking, almost alien like, but not in the sense of like oh, that means this thing is from outer space. It could, well, like it could also be some creature from the darkest depths of the ocean, like the sacks on his head. Really, yeah, it's some pretty neat stuff. And he got the piranha, almost head look to him with teeth and so on.
And then Zim, if you're ready.
Yeah, no, I'm always ready. I would say when it comes to monster designs and aesthetics, the best comparison I could think of would be to use, even though I hate using these words in this case, it'd be liberal and conservative, I guess. So with American monster designs, especially ones from like the 30s, 40s, 50s, unless they were like explicitly like aliens or outer dimensional creatures, you had very safe, like could appear on Earth type of designs. So like the Rhedosaurus, it came from beneath the sea, the black scorpion, things of that nature. Those creatures are plausible. You can see them on Earth, and the idea of them like evolving makes sense, even if they didn't evolve and like were created. Another one would be the Taro, although I don't think that's actually his name, but the dragon from the Sinbad movie that Harryhausen also did. Those creatures are very like conservative in their designs, and then you get the Showa designs, which are also very conservative. And I think Godzilla series as a whole is very conservative with its monster designs. And what I mean by that will make sense when we get to other franchises, where you could possibly see them evolve, but there's enough to make them stand out as like very unique and outlandish creatures. Good examples of this would be like Anguirus as a dinosaur. Like you could see a dinosaur evolving to look like Anguirus, and at the time there hadn't been any dinosaurs that looked exactly like Anguirus, but only recently was there one ankylosaurid, which I think is from Brazil, but it's not an ankylosaurid, but it's like a nodosaur that has like spiny protrusions, and it looks just like a mini Anguirus. And even though it doesn't look like a one-to-one to Anguirus, the idea of this creature being a monster makes sense. And even up until the Millennium series, you still got to see a lot of that with their designs, where like a lot of their aliens either had features that we wouldn't see on Earth, like multiple heads in the case of Ghidorah, or were completely out there in terms of their designs. The best example of that being Dogora from Dogora, where Dogora looks like a jellyfish, but like even then, when people think of jellyfish as almost looking like aliens, so it makes sense in that aspect. When you get into more liberal kaiju designs is where you get things like Ultraman and Gamera. I'd say Gamera is a little bit more on the conservative end than Ultraman, as Ultraman really goes out there, where you see certain designs with skin textures or features that you wouldn't expect them to, like dinosaurs having like a lot of fluffy bits on there, not like protofeathers, they just look like straight up fur, or mammals that are exceptionally scaly, or a mix of those, or you have all of those. Like a good example for like a less conservative design in the Godzilla for a monster that's for Gamera would be like Giron. Giron, like if he had more of a knife head looking like look to his face, it'd probably be more closer to a Godzilla monster with how conservative he would be. But the detailing along the knife side of his head and the fact that you don't see any like bits of him bolted on to where that's explicitly like an augmentation to him makes him appear more like a literal giant knife, because he has the same styling actual knives do. So it feels more like you're sticking a utensil or something from the real world onto a creature. And it's more conservative in something like Gigan, where the seams and what's like claws for Gigan are broken up by his green, and as a result you can be like, oh, so like the hook bits are all kind of like, they look like they're pushed into his body, so we can assume all of those are augmentations. So like his back like mohawk, the chainsaw belly, and the hooks are augmentations. And it gets more conservative in the Millennium design because he looks more bioorganic, and as a result him having these blades all over his body like makes sense contextually based on how he looked, even if he looks more radical, as it were. But the more liberal kaiju designs that you see in Ultraman are things like Tyrant or Bemstar, where they have these features on them which don't even look like the product of like alien biology, but just more look like interesting features that you can put on a monster. And they still kind of blend into their designs, even though Tyrant is like a chimera and Bemstar is one part of Tyrant, but they sort of fit together really well. And there's not a lot of things that break up those designs that feel super out of place, at least when I look at them. But I'd say like the most liberal like monster designs is some like Super Sentai and Kamen Rider. Probably will say Super Sentai, since those monsters actually get giant. But in those you have like coin chest monsters, baseball monsters, like things like banana monsters. Like they explicitly look like whatever it is they're referencing, and they look sort of like a mishmash of those things without trying to blend them into like one cohesive creature, like you see with Ultraman, Gamera, Godzilla, or even something like Pacific Rim or Cloverfield. And a lot of people really like those kinds of designs because they feel the most wacky and strange, and as a result they really fit the idea of kaiju as strange beasts, which like I understand the sentiment, although that's not necessarily like how I see things, as it were. But yeah, that's gonna be probably it for me. Unfortunately, I do have to bounce. But I thank you for having me on, and I love the fact that I was able to come on for a Drawcast since I had the day off.
Awesome. Well, of course, before you go, and before I guess we end it off, both of you get to shout out whatever you might have going on. Zim, if you want to go first, anything more you want to show before you head out?
Yeah. You know me, Zimzola99. Just got to add an OG underscore in front of it for Twitter. YT behind it for PlayStation. Everywhere else you can find me with good old Zimzilla99. At the moment, as much as I would have loved for it to come out tomorrow, the Rodan video is not ready for premiere tomorrow. I do have several shorts that are going to tide people over in terms of content to keep everything still going, but I really want the video to be as good as it can be, and I'd rather wait on it instead of rushing it out, because I wanted to follow a schedule and have like a big video out by the end of each month. So that does mean that the Exidio video game review is probably going to be pushed back, because I also want that to be the best it can be, or it might be pushed back into June, so that I finish up the Rodan video, and then I work all the way through April to get the 98 video in for May, because I do have all the shorts for April and all the shorts for the end of March finished, and most of the shorts for April ready as well. So once for May ready. So once all the May shorts are done as well, and the Rodan video is done, then it's the 98 video. So stay tuned for that, guys. And you know me, I'm Zimzilla, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Awesome. Peace out, man. And Sea Monster, if you feel free to shout out anything before we end it off.
Okay, well, this has been your guest, the Sea Monster Essays. That's my YouTube channel there, where you'll find me doing what one could say long form content on kaiju stuff or monster related stuff in general. And I host live streams that Zim and Zavik here, tend to guest appear on, among other fine folks. So this Saturday, actually, I'm gonna be hosting a stream. It'll be Alien Romulus related, so just figure it'll be that much. So keep an eye out for that. And I am currently working on the essay video on GXK, so it's going to be quite a long one. I know for a fact. I've started the editing process for it. And you can find me on Twitter, CMonster KCI, where there'll be further updates of anything like that, that are to come. And that's that'll pretty much be it, and I'll pretty much just clock out right now. So nice being on here, Vic.
Thank you for coming. Peace out, man.
Peace out. Night.
Night. Alrighty. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Kaijunaut Drawcast and chill. We did a little bit of drawing there at the beginning, halfway, and then turned into more of a roundtable, which you can expect on the Kaijunaut stream. It'll be a little bit of a variety of everything. Big thank you again to the folks who joined in too. Awesome to have you guys. As always, you can find me as Kaijunaut here on YouTube, where you have more kaiju and I guess otaku related content as well. Anything nerdy that I like, you'll find here. So if you enjoy what you see, stay tuned for more. You can find me again on Twitter as Vic Monstrous or Vic's Monstrosities, as well as on other platforms by that name. You can find me on Instagram as JaCrispyVic, where I post more arts and such. And as always, I have a Ko-fi and VGen. You can support me through there for commissions, for monthly memberships, where you get lots of cool perks and rewards. But other than that, thank you guys so much for joining in today. Until next time, Kaiju Seekers, over and out.